First question for you then, 10 seconds person next to you. Just which Olympic sports star has impressed you the most so far? 10 seconds, who is it? Okay, good. Good, hold it there. Good, lots of chat there. Obviously, you're very impressed. It was an absolutely cracking day yesterday, wasn't it? Full of lots of action. And I loved watching the highlights this morning, actually. Was anyone else's heart warmed by that proposal in the medal ceremony, by the way? All the girls are like, yeah, all the boys are probably a little bit more cold-hearted. But it was quality, wasn't it? What we're going to do now is we're going to look at 3 kind of player profiles of Olympic superstars who have featured over the last couple of days, and actually who are all representing here at Repton as our judges. Here's the first one. Here's Andy Murray. And look, here's his profile. See a few things about him, you know, his date of birth, where he's from, his height, and then his credentials. Amazing to say now that he's Olympic champion 2016 as well. Pretty impressive. Next one then we've got is Jess Ennis-Hill. Again, a few things about her. Again, fantastic. She has added Olympic silver 2016 to her awesome record, British national record holder. Then we have got Usain Bolt. And he's just unbelievable, isn't he? The magnificent 7, as they said this morning, 7 Olympic gold medals. He's expected to win another 2 this week. And imagine being a world record holder in 1 event. But he's world record holder of 3 events. Absolutely unbelievable. You can tell how good a sports person is, right? By their stats. So kind of their physical facts about them, but also what they've done, what they've managed to achieve. Here's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to put together a kind of player profile for Jesus, as it were. And I wonder what you think would go in there. I wonder if that would be impressive for you. So if we tried to do one now, I wonder if it might look a little something like this. Perhaps you'd imagine him looking a little bit like that. Name, Jesus Christ, date of birth, maybe about 2,000 years ago, 25th of December perhaps, from Bethlehem. And I wonder, what do you think his credentials are? A good teacher, maybe a prophet, someone who helps people, maybe he did some miracles, maybe actually you don't care. And actually you don't think that has anything to do with you and you're not bothered by him. What do you think about Jesus? Do you think he's got anything to do with your life? Well, here's the question for you this morning. Do you know the real Jesus? Do you know the real Jesus? Because from the verses we're looking at, we are going to see that he is absolutely amazing. More impressive than any sports star or anyone or anything ever. So open up your John's Gospels. And we're just on page 1 this morning, so nice and easy to find. So page 1, chapter 1, and we are in verse 14. Let me read that. Verse 14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. There's 2 main things we're going to see about Jesus this morning. First of all, that he is fully God, and then secondly, that he is fully man. So first of all, fully God then. Let's work through his kind of player profile of being fully God from what we get from these verses. So first thing then is we get his name. Here, John calls him the Word. Now, what does John mean by that? I don't know when the last time was that you joined a new sports club. I joined a new team, Ultimate Frisbee is my sport, last year. And it's a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? Because I didn't really know anyone. I really wanted people to like me, to get to know me. I wanted to get to know them as well. So how do you go about doing that? Well, you just chat to people, right? You have a conversation with them. Oh, what's your name? What do you do? Where are you from? All that kind of thing. You use words to communicate with people so you get to know them and they get to know you. So here's the thing. God actually wants us to get to know him. So he sends out his word, this in the person of Jesus, so that we can know him. Unbelievable that God actually wants to communicate with us. So come with me as we see what it is that God communicates to us through his word. And actually we're going to go slightly back to the start of this chapter to find out more about who this word is. So look down and just look right to the top to verses 1 to 3. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. So we can fill in some more stuff for our player profile from this. So the thing that we see here is his date of birth. It's not just as simple to say that he was born 2,000 years ago. Actually, here it says that he was there from the beginning. Now, I wonder how many years you've been coming to Sports Plus. I wonder who's been coming the most. Anyone been here for 5 years or more? Quite a few still. 10 years or more? Probably just Lanks in the corner over there. Oh, and Rimmer, there you go. Well, there's actually someone at Sports Plus, not in this room, but who's been here from the start of Sports Plus, pretty much. None other than Willow himself. And it's actually really interesting talking to him about what Sports Plus was like back then. So, of course, we did Team Challenge yesterday, which is full of, imaginative, creative sports with a little bit of a twist. Back then, apparently one of their Team Challenge games was just golf. They just went to play a round of golf, and that was a Team Challenge game. This morning, we had a delightful morning jog, followed by some lovely leisurely stretches. Back then, they used to send them on a 20-minute hard run, followed by circuit training. Every single morning. We have got it so good. Willow, of course, we know that now his role is, the highly esteemed face of discipline. Back then, apparently, his role was to make the sandwiches. That's what Willow did. See how far he's come now. Willow's been there right from the start of Sports Plus. Think of how many leaders, how many young people he has seen go through. Pretty impressive. Just try and get your head around this. You can't. Jesus has been there from the beginning of everything. He's seen everything, every era of humanity, the Tudors, the ancient Greeks, the Bronze Age, the Ice Age. He saw the first human kick a ball, the first human take their first breath or learn to walk. He was there before the first sunrise, before the sun, before oxygen, before gravity. Jesus has been there right from the beginning. Will you let that amaze you? Do you know him? Do you know the real Jesus? Next thing we see then is we're going to see 4 of his credentials from this verse. The first one is God. So look down again. You see, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What a claim. What a credential to have. Jesus is God, the most powerful being in the universe. Just a teacher. Just an ordinary guy, as people say? No. John is saying that he's God himself. Do you know him? Do you know the real Jesus? Second credential then, creator. Look down again. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Not only was Jesus there at the beginning, but actually he made it all. Do something for me now. Just take a breath in, breathe in with me, and breathe out. You can only do that because of Jesus. Just look to the person next to you, just say the word hello. Good. You can only speak. You've only got a voice because Jesus gave that to you. Have a look down at your hands. Have a look down at your legs, at your feet, the body you're going to use to play first sport with. Know that Jesus is the one who gave that to you. And as you go outside, as you see the sunshine, every leaf on the tree, every blade of grass, every drop of water, know that Jesus made all of that. Do you know that everything that you have and everything that you are is because Jesus made it and Jesus gave it to you? Oh. Do you know him? Do you know the real Jesus? Here's number 3 then. We're back in verse 14. So you see, we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son. Glory. Hands up, has anyone ever seen a solar eclipse? Yeah? Lizzie, what was it like? Were you allowed to look at the sun and that kind of thing? No? Why not? Okay, because you're so blinded. So this is what a solar eclipse looks like. And you are told that you're not allowed to look directly at the sun because it's just too much for our eyes to handle. So you have to wear these glasses, which will come up. These girls were obviously thrilled by this solar eclipse. It's too bright for you to look at. Here's the thing about God, right? He is so glorious, so almost bright and amazing and brilliant, that actually we can't look directly at him in a way. It's too much for us to handle. It's too much for us. But the amazing thing is that in Jesus, we see all of the glory of God. So this week, as we read about him in John's Gospel and hear all about what he did and what he said and who he is, we get to see the very glory of God in him. Do you know him? Do you know the real Jesus? Fourth credential then, back in verse 14, full of grace and truth. Look, this man Jesus is just amazing what he brings. So much undeserved kindness for us. And a truth which will change your life. A truth which will actually give you life. So do listen up this week as we hear about him, because he has everything to do with you. Do you know him? Final thing for our fully God player profile then is actually where he's from. So we see in verse 14 that he is from the Father. Just look at the person next to you for a second. Have a think. If they said to you, go and clean the toilets during your free time today, hands up if you'd be happy to go and do that. We've got one hand in the corner. Well then, you've got some respect there. Okay, what about if I told you to clean the toilets? Would you do it? Is that no? Well, great to see I've got some authority here. What if Willow told you to clean the toilets? Would you be a little bit more likely? A little bit more likely. That is an authority worth listening to, right? Jesus comes from the Father. He comes from God himself. He comes from heaven. That is an authority worth paying attention to. So as we look at this player profile for fully God, isn't it amazing? You know, we're impressed by sports people, we're impressed by sports stars because of who they are and what they do. Just look at who Jesus is. Again, just an ordinary guy, just a teacher, just a prophet. So much more than that. Do you know him? Do you know the real Jesus? So next thing we'll look at then, we've seen that he's fully God. Now we're going to have a look at him being fully man. And as we do not forget where we've just been. Do not forget what we've just looked at, this amazing Lord of glory, because it makes this all the more remarkable. So here in verse 14 then, the Word became flesh. So as we build this new profile then, first of all, name, Jesus, a child given a name when he was born, just as you were. Next thing then, date of birth, it says that he became flesh. So yes, Jesus has been there from the beginning, but in space, time and history, just over 2,000 years ago, he was born. God himself enters time, enters space and history, and is born. Where's he from then? A stable in Bethlehem. I don't know if you're fans of the royal family, but in the last couple of years, 2 royal babies have been born, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. And it's quite a big thing when a royal baby is born. Apparently they handpicked a team of 23 doctors who were going to be there at the birth. 23. And these guys met once a month in the run-up to the birth, and as it got closer, once a week. The baby was born in a kind of private wing in a wonderful hospital. Big deal. But actually, that's what you'd expect from a royal birth, isn't it? Now, when the King of the universe is born, I wonder what you'd expect that to be like. Surely not this. Surely not a filthy, stinking animal shed stable, because no one would give him a room. Surely not having a feeding trough, which animals eat out of, as his first cot. Could it be true that the creator of the universe is born as a child who is dependent on his mother, who he created? Could it be true that the creator of the universe is born and doesn't know how to walk or how to speak? Can it be true that the creator of the universe knows what it is to be human? To smile, to laugh, to cry, to be hungry, to be thirsty, to be afraid, to be human? Christmas carols often capture this truth brilliantly. Just a couple here. See amid the winter's snow. Low within a manger lies he who built the starry skies. A more modern one. As he sleeps upon the hay, he holds the moon and stars in place. Though born an infant, he remains the sovereign God of endless days. Did you see how unbelievable that is? Where he's come from and what he became? You just ask, why, don't you? Why did he do this? What did he come for? And as we'll hear this week, this has everything to do with you, because he came for you, to give you life. Next thing then, his address made his dwelling among us. He lived among us. One of my favourite sports people is David Beckham. Picture your own one for a moment. And imagine, well, for me, I heard that David Beckham was actually moving to Bicester, which is where I live, and actually that he was moving next door to me. And imagine the moment when, like, you see the kind of van arrive and the removals are happening, and you're looking out the window going, oh, shall I go and say hello? Is that all right? Can I go and speak to him? Thinking, can I knock on the door, go and introduce myself? Am I going to get to meet him? And then actually he comes to knock on your door that evening. And he comes in and he stays for a cup of tea, and he's just getting on really well. So he stays over for dinner, and actually you start to become mates. You actually become friends with him. He comes to live among you. God himself comes to live among us. He comes knocking on the door. He comes to be in your life. So do not miss out on the opportunity to get to know him this week. So as we come to finish then, just have a look at these two player profiles together, next one. You see this amazing, fully God, who he is. And you see that this creator God became a man as well. So do you know the real Jesus? Do you see how when people talk about him as just an ordinary man, just a teacher, irrelevant, nothing to do with me, that this just completely blows that out of the water? So two things then. First of all, will you be amazed by him? We're amazed by sports people but when they do something impressive. But this is God himself. Look at who he is. Will you come and listen this week and hear all about what he came to do for you? And then will you live for him? Will you play for him when you go out and play sport? And then secondly, will you come and know him? He came so that we could know him. And it is the best thing ever. Do not miss out on that. Let me pray, and then I'll hand back to Lex. Father, just thanks so much for what we can see of who Jesus is here, Lord God. Just change our hearts so that we will be amazed by him and want to know him. Amen.